I bet you heard my chair rattle on that one. But if that didn't scare you, don't worry. The movie we're checking out today won't either. Welcome to my Halloween special. Cool thunder, Q thunder. I need friends. Now, Halloween isn't scary all the time, right? I mean, you guys ever go to any Halloween parties? Yeah, me neither. But those aren't terrifying, right? I mean, you show up in a costume and drink. Ooh, spooky. To start us off on a little horror binge, we're gonna keep it light and fun with Scary Movie, released in 2000, directed by Keenen Ivory Wayans. I don't know about you guys, but I grew up with the Scary Movie franchise, and for the most part, they do succeed in being good comedies. I mean, I say for the most part because the first three are pretty good, in my opinion. I mean, because 4 is like not as good as the first 3. Like, you'll get a little chuckle here and there, but no knee slapping funny. And then the 5th is just... How do I explain the 5th one? You ever see an Amy Schumer movie? But don't forget, these movies are not meant to be taken seriously, but the 5th one, utter garbage. With that out of the way, let's begin. Now, what you'll notice about this franchise is that they spoof a lot of horror movies, obviously, but each movie has a main plot from another movie they base themselves on. Like, I mean, this one, they have the killer from the Scream franchise, but the premise of I Know What You Did Last Summer. So we start off with a good old Scream spoofery, where there's a young woman home alone named Drew Decker, played by Carmen Electra, making some popcorn when a stranger calls, wink, asking her some hard-hitting questions.
Do you like scary movies?
Mm-hmm.
What's your favorite?
Kazam, you know the one where Shaq plays a genie?
That's not a horror movie.
Well, you haven't seen Shaq act.
Oh, Shaq. So after a bit, he gets creepy, she hangs up, she gets uneasy, the doorbell rings, and without looking or hesitation, swings a fucking baseball bat and proceeds to beat the shit out of 3 trick-or-treaters. Anyways, a chase breaks out, the popcorn is left unattended, so her house will burn down sooner or later. She gets stabbed in the chest, and I guess her implant gets plucked out from her chest, and which is pretty brutal when you think about it. Fun fact, when I was a kid, I thought that was a big piece of ice. I was so innocent. She gets away, and then she proceeds to get run over in a very comedic way. Then a knife slashes into the screen, revealing her title of the movie. Here we meet the main character, Cindy, played by Anna Faris, and her boyfriend, Bobby, played by John Abrahams, and her drug dealer dad.
It could have been that crack I smoked earlier, I guess. Just, you know, that new business that I started with those Colombian guys?
Oh, you mean Uncle Escobar?
Who we only meet like this maybe 1-2 minutes and then probably like 45 seconds at the end, so he doesn't really matter. And I never put 2 and 2 together until like I recently just rewatched the movie, but she is dressed like Linda Blair from The Exorcist, which I should have got before because this brings us to an Exorcist reference.
If this is about the time I puked green slime and masturbated with a crucifix, it was my first keg party, Bobby.
They get to kissing while I Don't Want to Wait by Paula Cole plays, followed by a brief cameo from Dawson's Creek's James Vanderbeek.
Wrong set.
Fast forward, we get to the school where we meet the rest of the cast. There's Brenda, played by Regina Hall. Shorty, who is the highlight of the entire movie by far. He's played by Marlon Wayans, who also co-wrote and co-produced the movie alongside his brother Sean, who plays Ray and will meet very soon. Also Buffy, played by Shannon Elizabeth. We see the school being overrun with press and police.
Reporting live for Black TV. White folks are dead. We're getting the fuck out of here.
That will never not be funny. When a reporter, Gail Hailstorm, played by Sherry O'Terry, if that's how you pronounce it, I'm sorry, getting her news report fucked up by obnoxious dude number 32, then proceeds to shoot him point blank in the chest, which no one really gives a shit about, I guess. Then we get some classic Shorty dialogue.
I'm on TV. Oh shit! First cops, now this. Oh man, I'm be a star. Son.
Next, meet Buffy's boyfriend Greg Cox, played by Lachlan Monroe, who's apparently a dumbass, but his girlfriend is super supportive.
Well, at least you got one in.
Yeah.
Brenda's boyfriend Ray, who is also a highlight of this movie with his very gay sense of humor.
Dog, will this shirt make me look gay?
No, man.
What about now?
Fast forward a bit, we're in a flashback where we see everyone driving on the highway, and then Greg stands up out of the sunroof while some Looney Tune type stuff happens with the beehive and such. Then they hit a dude on the road, which causes them to spin out, but don't worry, Buffy and Greg are on the case.
Oh my god, we hit a boot! Where's the foot?
Nice. But if they were to look just like maybe 3 feet ahead of the boot, they would see the body laying in the middle of the road in plain sight. They contemplate calling the police, but Greg thinks it's a bad idea, but Ray is all for it.
Hey, Cindy! Do you know what they do to young boys in prison? Hey, you're right, Cindy. Maybe we should call the police.
But plot twist, the guy isn't really dead as he gets up and doesn't even think about pressing charges or anything and just wants to leave.
Guess I'll be leaving now.
Then Greg tries to ditch the alcohol, which then either knocks the dude out again or actually kills him. So they start to put the body in the trunk when Shorty rolls up smoking some grass.
I got papers, blunts, bongs, all the ingredients to make a high nigga pie.
He drives off. Then we see Buffy trying to close the trunk, but the guy still tries to get up, but the repeated bashing on the head from the trunk surely kills him. They arrive at a port where they're going to dump the body, but then they get the idea to rob him.
I'm gonna take his drawers.
After that, they dump him in. Cut from flashback. We go back to Gail trying to get a story from the cops, but they don't talk, so she goes to get something out of Officer Doofy, played by Dave Sheridan, by any means necessary, which Doofy seems all for.
Yeah, okay, let's go.
Next, we get some more references with a Michael Myers, but instead of Michael, it's Ghostface. The most obvious nod to I Know What You Did Last Summer with a note, but it says Halloween, not summer. Cool. Fast forward, Greg is hitting the bag when the bag hits Greg. He goes back to his locker where he finds a picture of his tiny peepee. In a rage, he brings up his defense for having said small peepee.
It's not the size of the hammer, it's the nail you're throwing it at!
Then we cut to the gang sitting on a fountain where Greg angrily assumes Ray put the picture there, and Ray is all for a scrap.
What you trying to say? You want to get butt naked and rustle?
Now we're at a beauty pageant in the talent portion, which Buffy is in. And she's going to use acting as a talent. But she isn't acting as she's saying her piece because Greg is getting murdered on the balcony and she screams in terror. And to be honest, her acting isn't too bad here. She ends up by crying, running to the back, all emotional, saying she needs to go kiss her now murdered boyfriend. You into corpses, my dude? Meanwhile, another pageant person comes up to Buffy saying she won. And after Cindy asks about Greg, she responds,
Oh, fuck Greg, I won! Congratulations! Out of my way, loser!
nice. After all that, we're in Cindy's bathroom. She's taking a bath, doing all this type of stuff you do in a bath, you know, like shaving your tongue and all that. She gets a call from the killer. She freaks out. She goes out to lock the door. The camera boops her in the face. Boop. She gets another call from the killer saying they're in the house.
I'm in the house.
But Cindy finds him right away, so he needs a minute to hide again. Another chase ensues, featuring the stairs, and Cindy defends herself by throwing her grandma, whom we never met until now. Then a conveniently placed piano at the top of the stairs as the killer runs down the stairs in a goofy way, might I add. The piano then squishes Granny. Cindy locks herself in her room, then proceeds to email the police, which I guess is a thing in 2000. And they show up not even 10 seconds later. Bobby also shows up comforting his girlfriend, then a very 90s cell phone drops out of his pockets, I guess, followed by a knife and the killer's gloves. So she automatically assumes he's the killer, but Bobby tries to explain why he has those things. But let's hear him out. Maybe he has a good reason.
A friend gave them to me.
But his explanation isn't good enough. It cuts to them at the police station. Cindy's sitting there talking to the sheriff, played by Kurt Fuller, while Bobby's being taken to his cell, I assume. Next, we see a no-name officer bragging about how he banged one of the hookers they brought in and asks Doofy to smell his fingers, which Doofy follows up by asking him the same thing.
Smell my finger. Oh, what the hell is that? My ass.
Buffy shows up, taking Cindy home, while Doofy asks if their mom knows. Oh yeah, and by the way, Buffy and Doofy are brother and sister, which I forgot to mention until now. Doofy then says she has to show him respect when he wears his paper badge.
Yeah, well, Mom also said for you to stop sticking your dick in the vacuum cleaner.
Would it expose the poor guy? Jeez. At the halfway point of the movie, we get the best and probably the most recognizable scene of the whole movie, where the killer calls Shorty and then they ensue in this gym. Fucking yes. Next, he calls Cindy at Buffy's house when Doofy comes to the rescue after taking a break from cleaning his room.
I said don't disturb you, I'm cleaning my room!
Back at school in the cafeteria, serving same old shit, but stay tuned for the next day, serving some more same old shit. Cindy says she's gonna have a party and Shorty spreads the word.
Party at Cindy's house! Drunk white women for everybody!
Now we're at the girls' locker room where we see Buffy all alone and we hear some footsteps with a Shining reference. Which I don't know why that scares her, because we literally seen like two people just walk by and they haven't gone that far yet. Then a wild killer appears, but Buffy thinks it's a joke being pulled on her by Cindy, even giving him a hand and making her kill easier by not fighting back. Then she gets stabbed, which doesn't faze her at all. Now she's pretending to be scared and helpless, breaking her own leg in the process, which is kind of yucky. On the ground, she makes fun of the killer, then she gets her head chopped off. But surprise, she's still kicking. Then after nagging a bit, the killer tosses her head in the lost and found bin. Cut to a movie theater playing Shakespeare in Love, where we see Brenda and Ray on a date, while Brenda is being that one person everyone hates in the theater, being loud and annoying.
Mm-hmm. For all y'all talkers up in here, it's time to keep it down right now. Shh.
But it is pretty funny. Ray goes for a tinkle when he hears whispering from the opposite side of the wall, so he puts his ear up to the hole of glory, then gets a poorly CGI'd wiener through the head. Yeah, you heard me. Back to Brenda being Brenda in the theater, yelling throughout the movie while other people are telling her to be quiet and stuff, but she's standing her ground.
Lord, I'm having a heart attack. Damn, this is some scary shit.
Then the killer sits beside her, which she doesn't notice, and keeps talking loudly, even answering her phone, and one of the theater goers gets fed up, takes the knife from the killer and stabs her herself. Because she's not immortal like Buffy, I guess. Another person stabs her in the back, telling her to sit down, followed by a woman getting a stab in. Then the grandma slits her fucking throat. Brenda wobbles around, then everyone else chimes in, and then she dies, and everyone applauds. Now at Cindy's party, we meet this person whose name I do not know. She's in the garage getting more beer when something startles her. That's just the garage cat. And gets startled again by the garage horse. What? You guys don't have a horse in your garage? The killer shows up and they recreate the iconic garage door death scene from the original Scream movie. With a little extra. Back to Cindy, Bobby shows up and they go upstairs to talk. Where Cindy is ready to lose her virginity to Bobby. And Bobby says this is like a movie, but Cindy assures him it's real life. But then Bobby reassures her like, no bitch, we're literally in a movie.
There's a sound guy, there's a script supervisor. How you doing, Debbie?
Bobby?
They get to kissing and they get a little tongue-tied in the process. Then we get to see Shorty after like 25 minutes, which is way too long to not see this man. He gives us a Sixth Sense reference.
I see dead people.
After running out of rolling papers, he looks around to see what he can use for a bong. So they use the most logical thing they can think of. The fish tank. Killer shows up, Shorty delivers his catchphrase. They cut to the killer, who partakes in some of the electric lettuce, and he's super happy about it. Later on, we see them again, where the killer sports my favorite mask by far, looking faded as hell with a little Friday the 13th reference. Now, I gotta say, I do like the fact that they have different masks for different emotions, I guess. Sometimes he's showing like emotions, like you see, like he's high, and like even with the what's up thing, you know, with his tongue sticking out and stuff. I kind of appreciate that. Then they get into some friendly raps when the killer starts spitting. He also starts slashing. Camera pans out after he finishes spitting, where we see all of Shorty's other friends dead, which doesn't matter to Shorty because he has a new best friend.
That was the illest rhyme I ever seen, son.
Back to Cindy and Bobby after they finish the nasty. Cindy questions him about his whereabouts that night, and then he proceeds to tell her Buffy and Greg are dead, which catches her by surprise. Then the killer shows up, stabs Bobby, chases Cindy, and has a little stumble in the process. After what I thought she was going for the door, but instead goes for a gun in the drawer, which was there the whole time even when the killer in the house. I'm overthinking it. Shorty runs out of the room and tells them,
There's a killer in the house. There's ass, blood, and guts everywhere. Someone done going crazy, son.
now if you have seen Scream, you would know that the twist would reveal, spoiler alert, that Bobby would be the killer as he shoots Shorty in the chest, but he doesn't die before giving us some classic dialogue.
You wanna hit this shit?
Bobby then reveals he never even got stabbed and it's not even real blood.
Ketchup. Just like my mom puts on her spaghetti, baby.
Does anyone actually put ketchup on their spaghetti? Because to me that sounds disgusting. Ray kind of comes out of nowhere with a bandage on his ear, and only the one ear. I mean, I'm pretty sure that dick went straight through, so shouldn't he be dead? Or at least have a bandage on the other ear? So many questions. Now we're at the Scream finale, and they even say the movies.
Did Scream have a plot?
No.
Did I know you did last summer make any sense? Don't think so.
In a shocking twist, Bobby says his motive was due to lack of sex, which caused his deviant behavior, and comes out as gay, and outs Ray as well. And in another shocking twist, Ray says he isn't even gay.
I ain't gay. What are you talking about? You took her to that club.
So they play good music.
What about our trip to San Francisco then?
I wanted to go shopping.
You made love to me.
No, first of all, you sucked my.
That's a pretty big twist. But then they reveal they're copycats to the actual killer, so Ray and Bobby aren't even the real killers, which doesn't really copy the whole ending, because in the first Scream, the two guys were the actual killers, or was it Billy? Who knows. So they get to setting up their rough escape as Ray stabs Bobby repeatedly and Cindy yelling, "You've seen way too many TV shows," as Ray responds,
Watching television shows doesn't create psycho killers. Canceling TV shows does. The Wayans brothers was a good show, man.
fuck, that's funny to me. After Bobby says he's feeling woozy, he asks for the knife, and Ray pretty much tells him to go fuck himself because he doesn't feel like getting stabbed as the killer pops up and stabs him. After all that, a fight scene breaks out, spoofing the Matrix and a very obvious green screen Irish jig in the air. Cindy sends the killer through the window, cops show up, killer disappears, you know, the usual. Fast forward, nearing the end of the movie, we return to the police station as Cindy confesses that she and her friends hit a guy with their car and dumped the body in the harbor. But the sheriff says it couldn't be him coming to get revenge because they recovered his body and is now buried in the cemetery. They then try to figure out someone who could be connected to all the victims, which brings us to a bunch of mini flashbacks showing Doofy. They freak out and then run to look for Doofy when we see him walking down the street taking off his disguise, looking like the coolest greaser ever. He jumps into Gail's car and they drive off, very slowly I might add. I mean, the sheriff could easily run to them and catch them. Then Cindy gets hit by a car. The end. So, that was Scary Movie. Now, at the end of these videos, I'm gonna give the movies my personal rating out of 10. So, looking back, Scary Movie is probably one of, if not the best horror parody ever. I mean, the comedy landed with me a lot of the time, and 21 years after its initial release, I still laugh to this day at this movie. And it's exactly what you'd expect it to be, a fun stoner slasher movie. And the acting isn't all bad either, if I do say so myself. I'm gonna give Scary Movie 7 shorties out of 10. with that, that was my first video of the Halloween special. Believe it or not, I was originally going to do 31 videos for the entire month, but then as I started to do this one, I realized how much work that actually is, and that would be nearly impossible because it's just me doing it. So yeah, I was actually going to do it, and then when I realized the work, I just couldn't. So I'm going to cut it down. So I cut it down to 3 a week, and we're going to do Monday, Wednesday, Friday for the entire month. And we're going to do a Halloween special on October 31st, obviously, which brings the total videos to this month 13, which I thought was a fitting number. And if you don't see a video for the day, it more than likely got blocked and claimed, which sucks. I look forward to finishing this whole month watching my favorite horror movies with you guys. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care.